I've always called my shadow Frank. And some of you know, I had this experience. It's very interesting. I had this experience of naming this shadow side in 1987 at a 3-month retreat. 3 months or 2 months, you can sort of get to know yourself very well on a long retreat. So I'm not going to share that story with you, but I've been aware of this this part of me that tends to be problematic, gives me hard times. So I had this experience at in Nepal. As the weeks went on, I just began to notice more and more things about my little sort of like idiosyncrasies, things that that basically in an ordinarily they just you just sort of like accept them, you just accept those little quirky parts of yourself that you go on. But I started noticing that I would have comments about things, and for instance, I remember there was this wonderful meditator, a really beautiful person, and she walked like a cloud, right? It's just like a cloud, and I never saw her break it, right? I mean, every once in a while I would be sitting at my desk writing, and I would say, oh, there goes Rose. It's like take her about 3 minutes to get past my window. It wasn't that big a window. So one time she was walking around the lily pond, and I was standing there smiling, and sitting, and I heard this voice, I hope she falls in. What? And so, I got more and more listening to Frank. Well, it was just unbelievable. It was unbelievable. The nasty comments, the nasty comments, and that ordinarily would just come up and leave, right? I mean, ordinarily in my daily life, I don't know if you all have comments like that, but for me, I'll have them and I just dismiss them, I mean, I don't, it wasn't, So, I mean, there was one time I was opening a door and I was going, because U Pandita came to this retreat, which is a very strange thing. I bet you didn't know that. Did you know that? He came to this retreat and I've never particularly liked U Pandita, but I did this time. So anyway, I'm walking out the door and we're all going to meet him. And so we're before he leaves, and I heard this voice say, well, it's that whole bunch of people who are so, hanging around him, there's another word. And so they probably camped out all night. And so I said, shut up, Frank. So I started having a little dialogue with Frank. I noticed I'm a little bit clumsy, a little bit inept, and it's not necessarily obvious to people. I remember in my youth, people would say, "Are you a dancer?" I used to love that when people say, "Were you a former dancer?" Because I have long legs, I suppose. But the truth is, I am really clumsy. I mean, I fall all over myself. We had to bathe. We had to go and get hot water that they boiled in this little shed. We had to carry it in buckets and carry it back to our little place. And then watching me figure out how to work that with buckets. So I started noticing how I would, that shadow side, every time I would make a mistake or do something stupid, it would turn on me and have some sort of like a smart inner smile, but pretty constant. Why was I able to see all of this in a way that I've never seen before, plus in a way that it made it absolutely not acceptable? It became not acceptable. Why was that happening? Because I was on vacation and for 2 months and had a lot of time? No, I've had a lot of time. I've been on a vacation. It was because mindfulness was growing. That's the only reason. It's because mindfulness was getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And it was really looking at these things coming up, what I would call impurities in my mind. You remember I have read to you all many times the thing that I love, the third patriarch's famous saying, the great way is not difficult if you just give up picking and choosing. I liked and I disliked everything constantly, right? I liked that food. I didn't like that food. That person was too perfect, this meditator. They were too perfect. I didn't like that. That one was too imperfect. I didn't like that either. I don't necessarily think that would even be my shadow. That might be some other, that's just sort of universal in all of us. That's not that part. The shadow is that part that we push away and say that's not me, when it really is me, right? It's just the ego. The shadow is just the ego, the ego sign that it doesn't like. But that which says I like this, I don't like this, that's just the ego. Why did it get again so intense in terms of the watching it that it became increasingly unacceptable? Mindfulness. Just the very thing I'm asking you all to do today. You can't do this until you develop mindfulness. It's like, do you understand that, right? You can't do like the psychological work or even the spiritual work without the intense eye that is able to look and penetrate and see. There's a laziness in you and you and you and you and you. There's a fundamental laziness in us coming from just the fact that these faculties have just lain fallow for so long. What I decided, in addition to calling it lazy, is that it's really just ignorance. It's just the fundamental truths of Buddhism. He said, right, we have greed, hatred, and delusion, but the root of everything is delusion. So if you are deluded, and I'm not saying that you are, if we're deluded, how hard are we going to be working on an all-day retreat? Come on, right? How hard are you going to be really working at developing the mindfulness factor if you are coming from delusion, if I'm coming from delusion? So for me, the experience of I've done this many, many, many times, and this was just somewhat going at a deeper level of, again, coming face to face with that resistance to letting go of just this, how to say it, this accepting unconsciousness, this subtle accepting of being unconscious. That's the way we should be. That's normal.